The rain pounded against the windows of Seoul National University Hospital. Dr. Hana Kim looked up from her patient charts as lightning flashed across the night sky. It was going to be a long shift, but she was used to it. At 34, she had already become one of the hospital's most respected emergency physicians. "Dr. Kim, can you sign off on these discharge papers?" A nurse handed her a tablet. Hana nodded, quickly reviewing the information before adding her digital signature. 5 years had passed since the aliens, the Galactic Confederation, had made contact with Earth. The world had changed in many ways since then, but here in her emergency room, Hana's work remained much the same. People still got sick. They still needed help. The Confederation had brought many gifts: clean energy technology, improved communication systems, and medical advances that seemed like magic. But Hana noticed that many alien doctors looked down on Earth medicine as primitive. They had devices that could heal broken bones in minutes and cure diseases that humans had struggled with for centuries. Still, there's something to be said for the old ways. Her mentor, Dr. Park, had told her after returning from training at the Confederation Medical Academy. They rely too much on their tools. When something doesn't fit their standard treatments, they struggle. Hana's thoughts were interrupted by the sharp ring of the emergency line. She picked up immediately. "Emergency Department, Dr. Kim speaking." The voice on the other end was frantic. "We have multiple incoming casualties. A Talon diplomatic vessel crashed into the Yellow Sea during the storm. Local fishing boats picked up survivors before the official rescue teams could arrive. At least 20 injured aliens, maybe more. ETA 10 minutes. Hana's heart raced, but her voice remained calm. "Understood. We'll be ready." She hit the emergency protocol button and blue lights began flashing throughout the department. Within seconds, staff members were rushing to prepare trauma rooms. "What's happening?" asked Dr. Jun Lee, the chief surgeon, as he hurried over. "Crashed alien ship. 20+ casualties arriving in 10 minutes. Hana handed him the preliminary report that was coming through on her tablet. Jun's eyes widened. "We've barely treated alien patients before. Their physiology is completely different. We're the closest hospital. They don't have time to go anywhere else." Hana pulled up the limited files they had on Talon biology. "Let's review what we know." The hospital doors burst open as the first ambulances arrived. Paramedics rushed in with stretchers carrying bodies that looked almost human but not quite. Talons had pale blue skin, slightly larger heads, and 4-fingered hands. Their internal anatomy was where the real differences lay. Behind the paramedics came a tall Talon wearing the green uniform of their medical corps. His face showed clear panic. "This is unacceptable," he said loudly. "These humans don't have the proper equipment or training for Talon medicine." Dr. Daewon Park stepped forward to meet him. As one of the few humans who had trained with Confederation doctors, he would be essential tonight. "I'm Dr. Park. I completed basic training at your academy. We understand this isn't ideal, but these patients need immediate help." The alien doctor introduced himself as Dr. Tarek. "Our medical ship is 8 hours away at minimum. These facilities..." He looked around with obvious doubt. "Then we have 8 hours to keep them alive," Hana said firmly, stepping up beside Daewon. "Let's stop wasting time." The most critically injured Talon was wheeled into Trauma Room 1. Blood, deep purple rather than red, soaked through the temporary bandages. Multiple fractures were visible where the bones pressed against the blue skin. Hana moved quickly, cutting away clothing to assess the damage. The alien had 3 hearts, and from the portable scanner readings, 2 were failing. "I need a complete bioscan," she called out. A technician rolled over their most advanced scanner, a gift from the Confederation during the cultural exchange program 3 years ago. Dr. Tarek pushed forward. "Your equipment is too primitive. You don't understand our physiology." "Then teach us," Hana said, not looking up from her patient. "Right now. This one won't survive 8 hours without intervention." For a moment, Tarek seemed shocked by her directness. Then his training took over. "The central heart is still functioning, but the auxiliary hearts are failing. When that happens, toxic compounds build up in our circulatory system. Similar to kidney failure in humans," Hana nodded. We need to filter the blood. Nurse Jin, prepare for emergency dialysis, modified settings. That won't work, Tarek protested. Our blood chemistry will be different, yes, Hana agreed. But the principle is the same. We need to clean the blood while the hearts recover. Dr. Park, you have experience with Talon biology. Help me adjust the filtration settings. Across the emergency department, other doctors were dealing with their own challenges. In Trauma Room 3, Dr. Sumin Yoon faced a young Talon with severe head trauma. Bright lights pulsed beneath the alien's skin, some kind of neurological response. What's happening to her? Sumin asked the Talon nurse who had arrived with Dr. Tarek. Neural cascade failure, the nurse replied grimly. Without a psychic stabilizer, she will die within hours, Sumin thought quickly. The symptoms look similar to status epilepticus in humans, continuous seizure activity. She turned to her team. Prepare cooling blankets and a modified ketogenic solution for IV. We need to reduce brain activity and stabilize the neural pathways. That's not in our treatment protocols, the Talon nurse said. No, Sumin agreed. But I've treated human patients with similar symptoms. Sometimes a different approach works when the standard one isn't available. Back in Trauma Room 1, Hana and Daewon had managed to stabilize their patient temporarily. The modified dialysis was removing enough toxins to give the auxiliary hearts a chance to recover. Dr. Tarek watched with growing interest. You adapted your equipment very quickly. We have to, Hana explained as she checked the latest readings. Human hospitals often can't afford the newest technology. We learned to work with what we have. Throughout the night, more challenges arose. A Talon with a compound fracture needed surgery, but their bone structure rejected standard human surgical materials. Dr. Jun Lee solved the problem by using a carbon fiber composite normally used in burn patients, modified to match Talon tissue compatibility. By morning, 17 of the 23 Talon patients were stable. The remaining 6 were critical, but holding on, far better than Dr. Tarek had expected. When the Confederation medical ship finally arrived, their team rushed in with advanced equipment and specialized medications. They were prepared for the worst, and found instead that the Earth doctors had performed what they considered medical miracles with basic tools. The Confederation medical commander, Dr. Jiwoo Kang, one of the first humans fully trained in alien medicine, surveyed the emergency department with pride. You see, he said to his alien colleagues, this is why I told you not to underestimate Earth medicine. They've been solving problems without your technology for thousands of years. They know how to improvise. Dr. Tarek approached Hana as she was updating patient charts. He looked tired but impressed. Your dialysis adaptation saved my patient, he admitted. It's not a technique we would have considered. Hana smiled slightly. Sometimes limitations force creativity. Indeed. Tarek paused. The Confederation Medical Council will want a full report on your methods. They may be unorthodox, but they worked when they shouldn't have. As the alien medical team prepared to transfer the patients to their ship, Hana caught Sumin's eye. Across the room, they shared a look of exhausted satisfaction. In the face of impossible odds, Earth's doctors had proven themselves. And somewhere in the Galactic Confederation, medical textbooks were about to be rewritten. 2 days after the crash, Dr. Jun Lee stood in Operating Room 3, staring at the holographic scan of the Talon ambassador's internal organs. The ambassador had been on the diplomatic vessel and was the most important patient from the crash. His condition had worsened overnight despite the initial treatment. The holographic display, technology gifted to the hospital by the Confederation last year, showed the ambassador's 3 hearts in different colors. The central heart glowed a healthy blue, but the 2 auxiliary hearts flickered between red and yellow, showing serious damage. The ambassador's condition is critical, said Dr. Tarek, who hadn't left the hospital since the crash. Without proper Confederation medical equipment, his chances are poor. June studied the scans carefully. He had spent the last 2 years reading everything he could about alien biology. The damage to the auxiliary hearts is causing a buildup of toxins, he said. But it's also creating pressure on this nerve cluster here. He pointed to a glowing spot near the ambassador's spine. Yes, Tarek agreed. That's why we need specialized nerve blockers from our medical ship. Which is still repairing its engines and won't arrive for another day, June reminded him. The ambassador doesn't have that long. Dr. Hana Kim entered the room, looking tired after her 12-hour shift. How's our VIP patient? She asked. Not good, June said. We need to reduce the pressure on his nerve cluster and support the auxiliary hearts while they heal. Tarek shook his head. Our protocols require bioconductors specifically designed for Talon physiology. Without them, the tissue rejection will be immediate and fatal. June was silent for a moment, thinking. Then he looked up with a new idea in his eyes. What about using a modified ECMO procedure with electromagnetic stabilization? Tarek looked confused. That's not in our protocols. ECMO stands for extracorporeal membrane oxygenation, Hana explained. It's a technique we use to provide cardiac Psi and respiratory support to patients whose heart and lungs are too damaged to function properly. But the ambassador's central heart is still working, Tarek pointed out. Yes, June agreed, but we could adapt the ECMO to support only the auxiliary hearts, giving them time to heal while preventing toxin buildup. And the electromagnetic stabilization? Tarek asked, now curious despite his doubts. From what I've read about Talon, physiology, your bodies are more sensitive to electromagnetic fields than humans, June said. We could use precisely calibrated EM fields to reduce the nerve pressure without invasive procedures. Tarek looked stunned. That's not how we would approach this problem. Human medicine often requires improvisation, June replied. We've been adapting to limited resources for centuries. Across the hospital in the intensive care unit, Dr. Suman Yoon faced her own challenge. The young Thailand she had treated for neural cascade failure was awake but still in danger. The lights beneath the alien's light blue skin still pulsed in an irregular pattern. Her name is Lily, the Talon nurse told Suman. She's a junior diplomatic aide. This is her first mission, off-world. Suman nodded and checked the monitors. The cooling treatment and modified ketogenic solution had stopped the immediate neural cascade, but the patient wasn't improving as hoped. The patterns are still irregular, Suman said. In human patients with severe epilepsy, we sometimes see similar ongoing disruptions to normal brain activity. On our world, neural cascade failure has a recovery protocol that requires specialized equipment, the nurse said. Without it, recovery is rarely complete. Suman thought about what she knew about both human and Talon nervous systems. Your nervous system uses electrical impulses like ours, but also has a photonic component. That's what causes the lights under the skin, right? The nurse nodded. Yes, it's part of our secondary communication system. Then maybe we need to treat both systems, Suman said. She turned to the human nurse beside her. Can you ask Dr. Park to bring the experimental photonic therapy device from the research lab, the one they're testing for human seasonal affective disorder? While waiting for the device, Suman explained her idea to the Talon nurse. If we combine precisely controlled light therapy with our neurological medications, we might be able to reset both aspects of Lily's nervous system. That's not standard treatment, the Talon nurse said hesitantly. No, Suman agreed with a small smile. But the standard treatment isn't available. Sometimes fresh eyes see new solutions. In the operating room, June and his team had begun the modified ECMO procedure on the ambassador. They had carefully connected the human machine to the Talon's complex circulatory system, making adjustments based on Tarek's guidance about Talon, blood pressure and flow rates. The electromagnetic field generator is ready, a technician announced. June nodded. Begin at the lowest setting and increase slowly. We need precise control. As the EM field activated, the monitors showed an immediate response. The pressure on the nerve cluster began to decrease. It's working, Tarek said, unable to hide his surprise. The toxin levels are dropping too, Hana noted, watching the biochemical readouts. The ECMO is successfully filtering the blood. For the first time since the crash, Tarek looked hopeful. If this succeeds, it will be a completely new treatment approach for this condition. Back in the ICU, Dr. Park had arrived with the photonic therapy device. It's designed for human brain chemistry, he warned Suman. We have no data on how it might affect Talons. I've studied the research on Talon photonic nervous systems, Suman said. Their wavelength sensitivity is different but overlaps with ours. I think with the right adjustments it could work. Together they modified the device, changing its wavelength patterns to match what they knew about Talon neural activity. When it was ready, Suman carefully positioned it near Lily's head. Starting photonic therapy now, she said, activating the device. Soft, pulsing lights in specific patterns began to play across Lily's face. At first, nothing happened. Then, gradually, the irregular lights under her skin began to synchronize with the therapy device. Look, the Talon nurse exclaimed. The patterns are stabilizing. Suman watched the monitors carefully. Heart rate steady, neural activity beginning to normalize. She adjusted the medication drip slightly. We'll maintain this combination therapy for 24 hours, then slowly reduce it if the improvement continues. By evening, news had spread throughout the hospital. The human doctors were successfully treating the Talon patients using adapted human medical techniques. Dr. Jiwoo Kang, the human doctor fully trained in Confederation medicine, walked from room to room, observing the innovative treatments with growing pride. He found Dr. Tarek in the hospital cafeteria, drinking something that looked like tea. Your Earth colleagues are quite remarkable, Tarek admitted when Jiwoo sat down across from him. We had to be, Jiwoo replied. For most of human history, we didn't have advanced technology to rely on. We had to solve problems with whatever tools we had available. The electromagnetic field therapy for the ambassador. Tarek shook his head in wonder. It's so simple, yet none of our medical texts suggest anything similar. That's because Confederation medicine evolved differently, Jiwoo explained. You developed incredible technology early and built standardized protocols around it. Human medicine had to work without those advantages. Tarek was quiet for a moment. Dr. Lee mentioned that he's been studying Talon physiology in his spare time without formal training. Many of our doctors have been doing that since first contact, Jiwoo said. Humans are naturally curious enough to succeed where highly trained Confederation doctors would have failed, Tarek admitted. Perhaps there's more to learn from Earth medicine than we first thought. As night fell over the hospital, both human and alien medical staff continued their work. The ambassador's condition had stabilized and young Lily was showing signs of a full recovery. In rooms throughout the hospital, human creativity and alien knowledge were coming together to heal patients in ways neither civilization had imagined before. On the third day after the crash, the Confederation's main medical vessel finally arrived in Earth's orbit. The large ship, shaped like a white oval with blue lights running along its sides, sent down 3 smaller shuttlecrafts. They landed on the hospital's roof one by one. Dr. Hana Kim watched from a window as a team of alien doctors in matching white uniforms rushed inside with floating medical equipment. Their leader was tall with the typical blue skin of the Talons, but darker than most. He had the confident walk of someone used to being in charge. That's Dr. Minho, Chief Medical Officer of the Confederation Fleet, Dr. Jiwoo Kang explained as he joined Hana by the window. He's one of their most respected doctors. Is he going to take over all our cases? Hana asked, feeling suddenly protective of her patients. He'll try, Jiwoo smiled. But I think he's in for a surprise. The hospital's conference room was quickly turned into a command center. All the doctors treating Talon patients were called in for a briefing. Dr. Minho stood at the front of the room, reviewing patient data on a large holographic display. I want to thank the Earth medical staff for their efforts, he began. His voice was deep and had a slight musical quality to it. However, we will now transfer all Talon patients to our medical vessel where they can receive proper care. Doctor, Tarek stepped forward. Sir, I believe you should review the treatment approaches developed here before making that decision. Dr. Minho looked surprised. Explain. The Earth doctors have created several innovative treatments that have saved lives when standard protocols would have failed, Tarek said. In particular, Their approach to neural cascade failure and auxiliary heart support has been remarkable. Minho's expression showed clear disbelief. "Show me," he said simply. The group moved to the ICU where young Lily was now sitting up in bed. The lights under her skin pulsed in a healthy, regular pattern. Dr. Suman Yoon was checking her vital signs when the group entered. "This patient suffered complete neural cascade failure," Tarek explained. "Without a psychic stabilizer, standard protocol gives a 95% mortality rate." Dr. Minho examined the charts and the modified photonic therapy device still positioned near Lily's bed. "What is this equipment? It's not Confederation medical technology. It's a human device originally designed to treat seasonal affective disorder," Suman explained. "We modified it to emit wavelengths that match Talon neural patterns. Combined with cooling therapy and a modified ketogenic solution, it created a comprehensive treatment for both the electrical and photonic aspects of Talon neural activity." Minho studied the device with new interest. "And it worked without a psychic stabilizer?" "Her neural patterns are 92% normalized," Suman said. "We expect full recovery within a week." The group moved next to the ambassador's room. Dr. June Lee was there making adjustments to the modified ECMO machine and electromagnetic field generator. "This is even more unorthodox," Tarek said. "Dr. Lee created a completely new treatment approach for auxiliary heart failure." Minho examined the setup with growing amazement. "You're using electromagnetic fields to reduce pressure on the central nerve cluster while supporting the auxiliary hearts with an adapted human blood filtration system?" He looked at June. "This isn't in any medical text I've studied." "No, sir," June agreed. "We had to improvise based on what we knew about Talon physiology and what equipment we had available. The ambassador's toxin levels are down by 78%, Dr. Tarek added, and both auxiliary hearts are showing signs of recovery." Dr. Minho was silent for a long moment. Then he turned to Jiwoo. "Dr. Kang, you trained at the Confederation Medical Academy. How do you explain these results?" "Human medical history is different from the Confederation's," Jiwoo explained. "For thousands of years we developed medicine without advanced technology. We had to understand the fundamental principles of biology and physiology very deeply, and we had to be creative with limited resources. But these treatments," Minho gestured to the equipment, "they shouldn't work." "But they do," Hana said simply. "Sometimes looking at a problem with fresh eyes helps you see solutions that aren't in the textbooks." The tour continued throughout the hospital. In each room, the Confederation doctors witnessed treatments that defied their expectations. A Talon with severe lung damage was improving with a modified breathing treatment developed for human mountain climbers. Another with a spinal injury was responding to a therapy combining human acupuncture with mild electrical stimulation. By the time they returned to the conference room, Dr. Minho's attitude had changed completely. "In the Confederation," he said slowly, "medical protocols are standardized across thousands of worlds. We rarely need to innovate because our technology solves most problems." He looked around at the Earth doctors. "But when faced with situations outside our protocols, we struggle." "That's where human medicine shines," Jiwoo said. "We're used to adapting." Minho nodded. "I've made my decision. The critically injured patients will be transferred to our medical vessel for specialized treatment. But I'm requesting that the Earth doctors who developed these new treatments join us to continue their work." A murmur of surprise went through the room. "Additionally," Minho continued, "I want to form a joint medical team to document these new approaches. The Confederation Medical Council will want complete details." Later that evening, Hana, June, and Suman gathered in the hospital cafeteria. They were exhausted but proud of what they had accomplished. "I still can't believe Dr. Minho asked us to join the Confederation medical team," Suman said, sipping her coffee. "He recognized good medicine when he saw it," June replied. "Even if it didn't come from their advanced technology." Dr. Tarek entered the cafeteria and joined them at their table. "The first group of patients has been transferred successfully," he reported. "The ambassador is responding well to the continued treatment." "That's good to hear," Hana said. I've been thinking about what happened here, Tarek said thoughtfully. In my 10 years as a Confederation doctor, I've lost patients because they didn't fit our standard treatment protocols. I always accepted that as inevitable. He looked at each of the human doctors. But you showed me that there's always another approach to try. That's what human medicine is all about, June said. We never stop looking for solutions. The Confederation has much to learn from Earth, Tarek admitted. Our technology is advanced, but our thinking has become rigid. And we have much to learn from you, Hana said. Your technology is amazing. Imagine what we could accomplish by combining your advanced tools with our adaptive thinking. As they talked, Dr. Minho and Dr. Jiwoo entered the cafeteria together, deep in conversation. It looks like this is just the beginning of a new collaboration, Suman observed. Tarek nodded. Indeed, the Yellow Sea incident, as it's now being called, will likely change Confederation medicine forever. Outside the hospital windows, lights from the Confederation medical vessel shone down like distant stars. Inside, human and alien doctors worked side by side, learning from each other and writing a new chapter in galactic medical history. The crisis had become an opportunity, one that would save countless lives throughout the galaxy in the years to come. 3 months after the Yellow Sea incident, Dr. Hana Kim stood nervously on the stage of the Grand Hall in the Galactic Medical Congress. The massive room was filled with doctors from over 200 different species. Most had never seen a human before. The Congress was being held on Centauri Prime, the Confederation's central medical training world. Hana and Dr. June Lee had been invited to present their emergency procedures to the galaxy's top medical minds. It was the first time Earth doctors had been asked to speak at such an important event. Remember, June whispered as they waited to be introduced. They may have more advanced technology, but we know things they don't. Hana nodded. Her heart was beating fast, but she felt ready. The last 3 months had been a whirlwind of preparation. They had documented all their improvised treatments in detail and worked with Confederation doctors to understand why their methods had been successful. A tall Talon in formal robes stepped to the center of the stage. Welcome to the 427th Galactic Medical Congress, he announced. Today we have a historic presentation. For the first time, physicians from Earth will share their unique medical approaches with us. As Hana and June walked to the center of the stage, the audience watched with open curiosity. Some whispered to each other. A few looked skeptical. Thank you for this opportunity, Hana began. Her voice was calm despite her nerves. Human medicine evolved in isolation for thousands of years. Without access to the advanced technology available to the Confederation, we developed alternative approaches to similar problems faced throughout the galaxy. She touched a control panel, and a holographic display showed images from the Yellow Sea incident, the crashed ship, the injured Talons, and the human hospital where they were treated. When 23 injured Talons arrived at our hospital, we had limited knowledge of their physiology and no specialized equipment for their care, she continued. We had to adapt our existing medical knowledge and tools to treat them. Jundi stepped forward. Our first case was a patient with neural cascade failure. The display showed brain scans of young Lily, the Talon diplomatic aide. Standard Confederation protocol requires a psychic stabilizer, which we didn't have. So we created an alternative treatment. He explained how they had combined cooling therapy, a modified ketogenic solution, and adapted photonic technology. As he spoke, the audience's whispers grew louder. Some were taking notes, others looked unconvinced. This approach resulted in a complete recovery, June finished. The patient is now back to full health with no lasting neurological damage. An older alien with green skin and 4 arms raised one of his upper limbs. This treatment contradicts established neurological principles, he said. It shouldn't have worked. But it did, Hana replied simply. Sometimes we need to question established principles when they don't match observed results. They moved on to present their other cases, the ambassador's treatment using electromagnetic fields and modified ECMO, the spinal injury treated with acupuncture and electrical stimulation, and several others. Each time they explained the thinking behind their improvised solutions. Human medicine teaches us to understand the why behind treatments, not just the how, Hana explained. When you understand why a treatment works, you can adapt it to unexpected situations. By the end of their presentation, the audience's attitude had shifted. The skepticism remained in some faces, but many now showed interest and even respect. We don't claim that our approaches are better than Confederation medicine, June concluded, but they offer different perspectives that might be valuable in emergencies or when standard protocols fail. After the presentation, many alien doctors approached them with questions. Some were curious about specific techniques. Others wanted to understand how humans approached medical problems differently. Dr. Minho, who had sponsored their invitation to the Congress, looked pleased. "You've given them a lot to think about," he told Hana. "It will take time, but I believe your methods will eventually be incorporated into Confederation medical training." Meanwhile, back on Earth, Dr. Sumin Yoon was leading the first integrated human-alien medical training program. The program had been established at Seoul National University Hospital following the Yellow Sea incident. 20 young doctors, 10 human and 10 from various Confederation species, were learning to combine the best of both medical traditions. "Today we'll discuss emergency improvisation," Sumin told the class. The training room was equipped with both human and Confederation medical equipment. The Confederation has centuries of accumulated medical knowledge and incredible technology. But knowledge and technology alone aren't enough. She activated a simulation program that created a holographic patient, a species that neither the humans nor the aliens had treated before. "This patient has a condition that doesn't match any standard protocol," Sumin explained. "Your challenge is to work together to develop a treatment approach using the principles we've discussed." The students divided into mixed teams of humans and aliens. At first, they struggled to communicate effectively. The alien students wanted to follow established procedures, while the humans wanted to try new approaches. "Remember," Sumin reminded them, "medicine requires creativity and intuition, something humans have cultivated out of necessity. But it also requires precision and careful application of knowledge, areas where Confederation training excels. You need both." Watching from the back of the room, Dr. Tarek nodded in agreement. After the Yellow Sea incident, he had requested a permanent posting on Earth as a medical liaison. He had become a strong advocate for combining human and Confederation approaches. One of the alien medical students, a young Talon named Dr. Ren, approached Sumin after class. Unlike most Talons who valued structure and protocol, Ren was naturally curious and adaptable. "In my culture, we're taught to follow established protocols without deviation," Ren said. "Your approach is disconcerting, but I've seen the results. Can you teach me how humans improvise?" Sumin smiled. "Improvisation can be learned, but it starts with understanding the fundamental principles behind the protocols. Once you understand why treatments work rather than just how they're performed, you can adapt them to unexpected situations." "That makes sense," Ren nodded thoughtfully. "On our medical ships, we have amazing technology. But when something breaks or a patient doesn't respond as expected, we often struggle to find alternatives. That's exactly the gap we're trying to bridge with this program," Sumin explained. "We want to combine Confederation technology with human adaptability." As the training program progressed, word of its success spread throughout the Confederation. More alien doctors applied to join, eager to learn the unique human approaches that had saved lives during the Yellow Sea incident. Dr. Jiwoo Kang, now serving as the official liaison between Earth and Confederation medicine, found himself busier than ever. He traveled between Earth and various Confederation worlds, helping to establish similar training programs and sharing human medical knowledge. The Yellow Sea incident was a turning point, he told a group of reporters during a press conference. It showed the galaxy that different approaches to medicine can complement each other. Neither human nor Confederation medicine alone has all the answers. Together they create something better than either could be separately. As the first year of the integrated program neared its end, preparations began for a major demonstration. The students would show their combined skills before an audience of senior medical officials from both Earth and the Confederation. This is just the beginning, Suman told her students. You are the first generation of doctors trained in both traditions. You will change how medicine is practiced throughout the galaxy. The students, human and alien alike, understood the importance of what they were doing. They were creating a new kind of medicine, one that valued both the technological precision of the Confederation and the creative adaptability of Earth. And across the galaxy, patients of all species would benefit from their work. 5 years had passed since the Yellow Sea incident. What had begun as a desperate emergency response had grown into the most successful collaboration between humans and the Galactic Confederation. The Integrated Medical Initiative now had training centers on 12 worlds, with thousands of doctors studying the combined approach. Dr. Hana Kim stood before the Galactic Medical Council on their central world. The grand chamber was circular with tiered seating rising high on all sides. Representatives from hundreds of species filled the seats, their attention focused on the human woman at the center. At 41, Hana had become Earth's representative to the council. Her simple white medical uniform stood out among the elaborate robes and garments worn by the alien representatives. But the respect in their eyes told her that appearances didn't matter. Results did. The mortality rates for complex multi-species emergencies have decreased by 47% since the integration of human adaptive techniques, Hana stated confidently. The holographic displays around her showed detailed charts and statistics. Crisis response times have improved by 32%. The chief medical director of the council, a tall being with silver skin and 6 slender fingers on each hand, leaned forward. These results are impressive, Dr. Kim. Please explain the key factors that contributed to this success. Hana nodded. 3 main factors, Director. First, we emphasized understanding the why behind medical procedures, not just the how. When doctors understand why treatments work, they can adapt them to unexpected situations. She touched a control panel, and the display changed to show training simulations. Human and alien doctors worked side by side, combining different approaches to solve medical problems. Second, we created mixed response teams with both human and Confederation doctors. This ensures both adaptive thinking and technical expertise are available for every emergency. The final display showed the new emergency protocols now used throughout the Confederation. And third, we rewrote emergency protocols to include decision trees that encourage medical improvisation when standard approaches fail. From his seat near the front, Dr. Tarek watched with pride. Once skeptical of human medicine, he now co-directed the initiative alongside Dr. Jun Lee. After Hana's presentation, he rose to address the council. When I first encountered human medicine during the Yellow Sea incident, I thought it primitive, he admitted. We had perfected a system of medical care that worked exceptionally well within known parameters. What humans brought was the ability to work outside those parameters, to see solutions where our training told us none existed. The chamber hummed with discussion as representatives from hundreds of worlds debated the implications. Some of the older, more traditional doctors still had reservations about departing from established procedures. Others embraced the new approach enthusiastically. Finally, the chief medical director rose to speak. Silence fell immediately. For 10,000 years, Confederation medicine has advanced through technology, she said. Her voice was soft but carried throughout the chamber. What Earth has shown us is that medicine is more than technology. It is also creativity, adaptability, and intuition. These are qualities we had gradually engineered out of our systems in favor of reliability and standardization. She turned to address Hana directly. Dr. Kim, your species has accomplished in 5 years what would have taken us centuries of gradual reform. Earth's doctors have indeed made our most experienced medics look like trainees in certain respects, not because of superior knowledge, but because you ask questions we stopped asking millennia ago. Back on Earth, Dr. Suman Yoon was preparing for the graduation ceremony of the 5th class of integrated medical students. What had begun with just 20 students now had over 1,000 graduates working throughout the galaxy. Among her star students was Dr. Ren, the Talon who had first approached her 5 years ago asking to learn human improvisation. He had embraced the human approach so completely that he sometimes seemed more human than Talon in his thinking. The combined diplomas are ready, a human assistant told Suman. The graduates would receive both Earth medical credentials and Confederation certification, the first generation fully trained in both traditions. Suman nodded. Thank you. And the demonstration patients? Ready in operating room 3. The observers are already seated. As part of the graduation ceremony, the students would demonstrate their skills by treating complex cases that would have been considered untreatable under the old Confederation protocols. High-ranking medical officials from across the galaxy had come to witness their work. In operating room 3, Dr. Wren led a team of 4 students, 2 human and 2 alien. Their patient was a member of a newly discovered species with a unique biology, unlike anything in the medical databases. First, let's establish what we know, Wren said calmly. Then we'll determine what we can adapt from existing treatments. As Suman watched from the observation area, her tablet chimed with a message from Hana at the Galactic Medical Council. Proposal approved unanimously. The integrated approach is now the Confederation standard for all emergency medicine. Returning tomorrow to celebrate with the graduates. Suman smiled. 5 years of hard work had paid off. The galaxy's medical system had been transformed. That night, after the successful demonstrations and graduation ceremony, the doctors who had started it all gathered in June's office at the hospital. Hana had returned from the council meeting, and Jiwoo had come back from his latest diplomatic mission. Tarek and Wren joined them, representing the Confederation doctors who had embraced the human approach. To the Integrated Medical Initiative, June proposed a toast with glasses of fruit juice. From emergency improvisation to galactic standard, and to the Yellow Sea incident, Tarek added, a fortunate accident that changed medicine forever. As they talked and celebrated, Hana's tablet chimed again. It was an urgent message from a deep hospital in another part of the city. She read it quickly, then looked up with excitement in her eyes. The joint team at Central Hospital just successfully treated a patient with genetic crystallization syndrome, she announced. Jiwoo nearly choked on his drink. That's been considered 100% fatal since it was first discovered 3 centuries ago. Not anymore, Hana said. They combined a Confederation molecular stabilizer with a modified human stem cell therapy. The patient is expected to make a full recovery. Suman shook her head in amazement. 5 years ago, that wouldn't have been possible. Neither human nor Confederation medicine alone could have solved it. That's what the integrated approach is all about, June said. Taking the best of both worlds to create something greater than either. As the evening continued, Hana stepped away to the window. She looked up at the night sky, where stars represented countless worlds now benefiting from the medical revolution that had begun in her hospital. She thought about that desperate night 5 years ago when the injured Talons had first arrived. None of them could have imagined where it would lead, to a transformation of medicine throughout the galaxy. Her tablet chimed one more time. A message from a former patient. Young Lily, the Talon diplomatic aide who had suffered neural cascade failure. She had just completed her own medical training and was joining the initiative as an instructor. Hana smiled as she looked back at her friends and colleagues. Human or alien, they were all part of something important. A new paradigm of medicine that combined the best of both worlds. And somewhere in the galaxy, a patient who would have died under the old system was going to live because of what they had started together. The end.